Sorry. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Rosemary from Hands on Life by Rosemary in New Jersey, and I'm here with three wonderful people that I admire who all work in the similar realms that I do. And I have Mary Crawford from Wisconsin. I have Rita Desnoyers Garcia from New Jersey, Jolie Roy from Illinois, and me, Rosemary DiTrolio, also from New Jersey. And our group is called Ask for Coaches, or For Coaches for You. And we would like to roll some of these out so that you can ask questions that will direct our discussions. Today, we thought we'd hit on some stories related to how clients are helped with our services and the different ways that we go about guiding them in our own unique way. So I would like us to start with Mary Crawford, who's going to tell you about what she does.
Hey, everybody. Thanks, Rosemary. I do a whole lot of different weird stuff, but one of the things that I love doing is working with animals. I can connect with them on an energetic level and get messages from them. They will tell me what parts of their body hurt, or they will tell me what their people are doing that really irritates them. So, like, I really don't like that food you're giving me, or please stop petting me behind my left ear. It doesn't feel good, stuff like that. I had a client come to me recently, and she had booked a couple of sessions for her new puppy because her new puppy was acting like an aggressive resource guarder. And I actually have experience with this with my own beautiful golden retriever who recently crossed over, but he was also diagnosed and that way at 8 weeks old, and we were told to put him down, that there was nothing we could do for him. Well, that was not true. So yeah, we worked on him, and he became the most gentle, amazing dog. Little babies could crawl all over him. But so this woman came to me with her little puppy. I'm not even sure what it was, a smaller dog. And it was doing this aggressive resource guarding, which is basically they attack if you get too close to their food, or they sometimes become attached to the person and will attack if somebody comes too close to that person. And it's a scary thing, and it feels really frustrating to the people because they want to love this dog. And I worked with it for 20 minutes. We cleared some energy, we talked, we shared some information back and forth, and the dog just was like, okay, I'm done. And what's so interesting is that we only used half the session. I said, well, how about we reconnect next week and we'll finish the other half of the session? Well, when I connected with her just via email the next week, she said, well, I don't really need to do any more work. She said, he changed immediately. My husband couldn't believe the difference. And we're just happy now. Everything's great. So I'm like, okay, fine. You're good to go. So I have a lot of stories. I work with horses and pigs and birds and all kinds of animals. But if you want to know more, you can find me at my website, which is thejoyofbeingwell.com. And you can email me at mary@thejoyofbeingwell.com. Thanks.
Great story. Thank you, Mary. I love that. Okay, Rita, why don't you tell us what you do and share a little bit about how you help your clients?
So my name is Rita, and I work with stressed out professional moms. And so, as you would expect, I get a lot of moms that come to me. And one of the things that I've noticed is that most of them feel overwhelmed, stressed out. They're juggling a lot of balls in the air between child raising, growing their career, working on their passions, volunteering, whatever they're doing. And one of the things that I've noticed, and particularly with one mom, is that most moms have kind of like an unconscious mommy manual that they are guided by. It's not really written down, but it should be. Like it might as well be written down, and with steel papers, like you can't do anything with them. Because they're so imprinted in us based on, our backgrounds, what we grew up in, the society, the family, the circumstances, what we went through as children. And so one of the things that I do is help moms realize that a lot of the things that they're stuck on and repeating and frustrated with is really something that they've created in their mom manual, unconsciously. Like, if I'm a good mom, then I will blank, or bad mom's blank, or I should never blank because my mom blanked, so once they kind of have that insight that it's something they kind of just made up based on what they inherited, and it can be changed and it can be revised and improved upon that fits with them and their lives, a whole realm of possibility opens up. And I had one mom who had a couple of kids that were, they were school age kids, and she was really having a hard time communicating with them. She felt like she could never kind of figure out what was going on. She was frustrated. She was stuck. And once we realized what was written in her mommy manual, one of the things that she wrote was, my kids always have to be happy. And I have to do everything in my power to make them happy. I have to fix it. And once she realized, or we realized, that so much of her parenting was about fixing and making her kids happy versus allowing them to have different emotions and being maybe on the sidelines, as a support, but not fixing it all, she had a completely different response when things weren't going well with them. And then they were able to do what they needed to do in their life. And both parties, or all three parties, were a lot more happy, because then she could go and focus on other things that were important to her and have her life. And then they got to witness that. And then they felt more independent and more, in mastery. And it didn't take that long. It took a lot of practice. It took a lot of energy to go, oh, right, this is from the old mommy manual, and I'm rewriting my mommy manual. Once she realized that, she was able to respond differently. And then everything else from that unfolded.
That's beautiful. I could have used you years ago when my child was little, because that was really wise advice there, Rita. Thank you. Okay, Jolie, tell us about what you do.
Hi, so I'm Jolie, and I live here in Chicago, Illinois. My title is life coach and Reiki practitioner. What I do is help people to get over the hump of not being good enough, of different syndromes that they suffer from because of stress and anxiety. And a lot of it has to do with their beliefs that they were given as a child, because we don't really develop beliefs until we're probably about 7 or 8 years old. And these beliefs are not our own all the time. So if they grow up and they become someone who thinks that they're not good enough, a lot of negative energy is going to come into their lives. So they're not going to be happy. They're going to be disappointed in themselves and those around them. And the way I work with people is to first look at, and I know this is kind of weird, I look at their nutrition first. And because we are what we eat. And if we're eating foods that don't give us any energy, then we're always going to feel stuck and not be able to move forward. So we change their habits around eating, because a lot of eating is the why do you eat what you eat, and who are you when you eat? Because you pick up that bag of chips, and what's the reason for that? You're bored? You don't have anything to do? Well, take a look at who you are at that moment when you make that decision, when you pick up that bag of chips. So then we look at their life all together. So I'm really holistically looking at everything around them. So what I want to talk about is a friend of mine who I knew 20 some years ago. I used to work with her, and she contacted me and asked me to help her because she said she wasn't happy. I'll call her Leslie. Leslie lived in Chicago, and she was single. She decided, I'm not going to stay here anymore, so I'm going to move to Europe because I'll be happier in Europe. So it took her about 6 years to get that visa to go to Europe and work at our company that we had a headquarters in Europe. She stayed there. We actually went over there and I saw her, and she said, nah, I'm not so happy. And then she ended up meeting a wonderful man years later, and they moved to Barcelona, Spain. And that's where she lives now. And she contacted me when her son, and she also had a son, her son was about 6 years old, and she contacted me and she said, I need something. I don't know what I want. I'm not happy. So when I worked with her, We looked at her nutrition. She was eating pretty healthy, but she just wasn't happy in her environment. And she lived in this apartment in Barcelona. She wanted to be in a certain area. She wasn't able to get there. They didn't think they had the money. But we changed the way she thought of happiness, because she had a wonderful man who treated her very well. And she had this beautiful little boy. She wanted to have more children when she couldn't. But we looked at what she saw within herself. She had lost her mother when she was, I think she was about 16 when she lost her mother, and her father wasn't in the picture. So she was raised by relatives for the rest of her adult, until she got to be an adult. But we ended up doing quite a bit of work. We got rid of toxic memories. She had a beautiful upbringing, but there was some toxicity in there. So we got rid of that. And it was the why. Why is it you believe this? What is it you're seeing when you look in the mirror? We did a reflection, I love you exercise in the mirror. So basically we took, what she was unhappy about, and she switched her belief about happiness. And by the end of our sessions, she was comfortable in her apartment. She wasn't looking to, want something else. And they ended up buying the apartment, and her son was going to good schools, and she was looking for another job. And she found a what we call a big mofo, which is the big motivating factor of why she was doing this. And every time she looked at this big mofo on her desk, she realized that this is my happy place. This is where I want to be. And she contacted me and said, I'm feeling great. And even years later, I'm still using the things that you taught me. So yeah, it was a great experience. And she wasn't a close friend of mine, but she was a work friend, and she had moved on, and I hadn't seen her in about 20 years. So it was kind of nice to see her again and talk to her over, to get to know her again. So that's what I do. I bring people out of that belief, those negative beliefs about themselves, if they don't even own those beliefs, and start making beliefs that are more positive for them.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jolie. That's wonderful. So my business is in New Jersey, Hands of Life by Rosemary, and I do a few different types of things, and I get different people that come in for a reading, or they might come in for Reiki or training or a workshop. And what I found is many people come in for different purposes. I've got some that come in for, let's say, making a life change. Others that may come in because their body is hurting and they're holding pain. I have other people that may come in just to get a different viewpoint. So when I do an angel reading, which is when I communicate with a person's guardian angel, I directly channel, and then I write down the messages I get. And they could be anywhere from 5 to 10 pages long before I even meet with the client. And some of the things that come up with those readings, and I'll tell you a situation. I worked with a doctor, and he was going to put in a new clinic. And I went into the reading, and of course, with his permission, I did the reading. And one of the things that came out is this new place that he was going to open. He has to clear the land. He has to bless it and ask permission before he breaks land. And he called in a Navajo person or a Native American person to bless the land and sage it before he put his building up. And I had said, if he uses the building with the wrong intent in mind, the business would block. And at some point down the road, he came back for a reading because his energy changed and his monetary flow almost stopped to a trickle. So it kind of guided him on what the block was. So the readings have much to do with blocks and also gifts. One of my clients that I trained up to Reiki Master Teacher, when she first came to me, as a child, she used to see spirit, angels, guides, people running through her house. When she was a kid, she lived in an area that was full of spirit. And she had completely kind of like squashed that part of her personality. And when I met her, I attuned her to the first level of Reiki. And all of a sudden, within maybe 3 weeks, her gift started to open. So now she actually does spirit work with people, and she's an artist. So, many people come for different purposes. I worked with a client recently that came to me really distraught. He was secluding himself in his home because he was so energy sensitive, but never learned how to ground and clear his energy. So I taught him some grounding and clearing techniques. We did a few private sessions together, and we worked for a while on guiding him. I did a mini reading for him, which put him on a path of healing. And at this point, he just learned Reiki with me, and he's going ahead now to the next part of his journey. And he really has a desire to help people. Before that, he knew he had a mission, but he was so blocked with his own emotion, he couldn't see clear to see the next steps. So part of what I do is teaching people how to use energy, how to clear themselves of energy, especially energy sensitive people. And many people that come to me with either addiction problems or high emotional problems were just super sensitive kids, and they never learned how to clear, ground, or protect their energy field. No one taught them because that's not what we do. It's not in our culture. So many people that have learned different techniques from me now bring it into their daily life and feel much better and have a new insight. If they get a pain in their back, they go, oh, that must be my third chakra. It's my confidence center. And people will start using the vocabulary that they've learned from me that helps them to understand where their body's holding pain. So I worked with another woman with asthma, and she had nervous asthma because she was in a really bad marriage. And when she left the marriage, the asthma was gone. It cleared because she was holding all her distress in her body. So those are some of the things that I do to guide my clients. And, you could always reach me at info@rosemaryd.com or my website, rosemaryd.com. And you can ask for a discovery session, and we can talk about what you might need. And you can see if my service or one of my services is good and helpful for you. And I want everybody to repeat their website address for clients and how they can reach you. And if you are offering a discovery session as well, you can also let people know that. Okay. So Mary, can you repeat your website again?
Yes, thank you, Rosemary. My website is thejoyofbeingwell.com, and there is a free discovery session. If you just click on Work with Mary, you'll see the calendar and what's possible, or schedule a session. I can't remember. It's one of those. Free discovery session. Yes.
Okay. Rita.
So if you love a free discovery session, I offer them as well on my website, becomingawake.com. And you just go to contact and you'll put your information in, and I'll connect with you and we'll figure out a time to meet.
Beautiful. Jolie.
So my website is jolieroycoaching.com, and I do offer a free discovery session. If you go into the Let's Connect button, then you can go to Calendly and set up a session with me.
Beautiful. I also want to put it out there to people that are listening to our event that we want to do this again. And we would love to have some questions from the people that are watching. Maybe there's something that ticked off a memory for you and you're like, oh, I wanted to ask this question, but I didn't know what to do. Just write it in the response, or as we send this around, if you're one of our clients, you can also contact us. And what I'll do with the Zoom is I'll also put in everyone's information again. So if someone wants to look at it and they don't know us, they can find us again and they could research what we do, or maybe book something with us. Did anyone have a final giveaway or talk or thing you want to mention before we close for today?
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I love all you ladies, and I thought it's so cool and interesting that we all approach our clients in a slightly different way, but it could even be the same issue, but we all see it from a different avenue. And that's what's great about our clients, is because we love to refer each other, and we all have a bunch of resources that we guide our clients toward if we can't do what you want us to do or what you need. So please contact us and feel free to email us and look at our websites. And we are so thrilled for you to listen and continue to listen to our programs. Thank you again, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.